Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday night. So glad you could join me. I am hoping that everyone stayed cool today and had a good day. Let's go ahead and see who's on. And we'll give everybody just a minute or two to come on in, and then we'll get started. Let's see. Let's go. See if I can find me. No. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. So let me get this up. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome. Welcome. Hope your day was good. We are going to be using some of the July online exclusives. I apologize. I should have printed out the flyer for the free shipping. So big announcement. Stampin' Up! Decided yesterday, we got notified around noontime here in the Pacific Northwest, that there is free shipping for 3 days on orders of $75 or more. Now that's before taxes, but after you use your Stampin' Rewards. So be sure that if you're going to take rewards off, that whatever you're taking off, you're still at that $75 or more, so you can get that free shipping. Okay. All right. So that last starts tomorrow or tonight, basically at 12:01 p.m. Mountain Time. Now here in the Pacific Northwest, that's 11:01 p.m. tonight, and that will last through the 25th, but closes at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time or 10:59 p.m. here in the Pacific Northwest. So don't try to order, hello Laura, at 11:01 on the 25th because you're going to be too late here in the Pacific Northwest. It will actually already have expired because it's based on headquarters in Salt Lake City and their mountain time zone. Okay, so free shipping, something to consider for the July online exclusives. We're going to be using Fright Night tonight, and I have created a new box that I don't think you've seen before, and we are going to get going on that. So when I envisioned this box, I had seen somebody make a, to give you the backstory on the box. I'd seen somebody make a gatefold card, or that they had made a gatefold card and posted a photo. Hello, Tracy. And I thought, well, what if I made a box that was a gatefold? So I designed this box here to make it like a gatefold. And I wanted it to fit a gift card. So, but this one, as you can see, it pops up and you can see spaces on the side. So I thought, I don't really like that. I don't like the spaces on the side. I don't like that it's popped up. And, you know, I had a solution for this. I could easily fix this part, but I couldn't fix this part. So I went back to the drawing board and I started over. And this is what I came up with. So I've got this, and it's got these little lips, and with the little splits that you put in the sides, when you push these top pieces into those slits, it locks everything. You can't see the spaces in the sides anymore. It stays closed on its own. You don't need anything. So we're going to go ahead and make this box tonight. I've sized it to fit a gift card. I'm so glad you're excited about free shipping, Tracy. Let's see, why do I have shadows like I do? I don't, it seems like a lot of shadow. Maybe I need to move. Let me move a light up. Let's see what we get here. Oh no, waiting for video signal. Are you kidding me? Are we going to have that? I'm going to have to call and say, what the heck? All right, thanks, Tracy. So let's get started. We are going to make this box. I did make a second project, but only if we have time. I have grandkids tonight, so I can't be real late. So in order to make this box fast, we're going to take a piece of basic black cardstock, and this is a size that is 6 inches by 7.5, so you can only get one out of a letter size 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, but you can get two out of a 12 by 12 piece of two-tone cardstock or designer series paper. I will be resizing this to get two out of an 8.5 by 11, but in order to fit the gift card, it must be this size. Okay, so we're going to start on the 6-inch side, and we're going to score this at 1/4 of an inch, and then again at 1 1/4. Okay, and then we're going to rotate that, and we're going to score this at 1/4 and 1 1/4. Okay, and then we're going to put it on the 7.5 inch side, and we are going to score this at 1/2, 1 5/8, and 2 5/8. Okay, and then we're going to rotate that 180 degrees, and we're going to score again at 1/2 inch, 1 5/8, and 2 5/8. Okay, and that is all of our scoring. Okay, so let's go ahead and burnish on all those score lines. Actually, let's start on these little teeny tiny quarter ones. Quarter ones, you might want to take your fingers and kind of roll it in sections before you take your bone folder and go both directions. Okay, so again, we'll take our thumbs and in each little area, a couple different places, we do it like this so that we can, it doesn't really want to fold up even with the score because it's so small. So you just have to tell it who's boss and make it roll up straight. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Now I made this box 1 inch deep, and just for a gift card it doesn't really need to be 1 inch deep, but when you give a gift card, you typically don't just give a gift card. You got to throw some chocolates or something in there, don't you? So I thought, being we're using the Fright Night, we'd want some fun size candy bars. And you need to have those at the box at 1 inch, really, for those. So that's why we have the box the size we do. All right, so this is what we have. This is the outside of our box. Now, we're going to trim this up. Let's bring in our template. And we're going to, these 4 inner squares here are going to be our glue tabs. So we're going to cut up on those to start. So I'm going to cut up to the second score line. Okay, so I've got my tab. I don't need this entire section. So I'm going to go ahead and go right over here and take that off. There's four little, you've got this 1/4 inch that has two small rectangles, and then this bigger section, you've got these. And so you need to remove all four. And we're going to do that on all four sides. So we're going to cut up on the long rectangle in the middle, cut up to the other side of the tab, and then we're going to turn and cut off the remaining four scored sections. Okay, now we'll repeat that on the other side. I'm going to start in the center at the large rectangle and cut up, and then I'm going to cut off that section again of the four, and then we'll repeat again, large rectangle, the glue tab, and cut off those four sections. Okay, so we've got that. So now I'm going to go ahead and fold these two pieces in. These ones I want to be shorter, so they're the ones with the tiny little 1/4 inch here. We're just going to take and cut those down. You can cut them to about a 1/2 inch or so. It doesn't really matter. You're going to glue them inside and nobody's really going to see them. So you could put this in your trimmer and trim it off at a 1/2 inch if you wanted. I'm just going to do mine by hand. And lastly, I'm going to angle cut on the tabs. And that is so that our tabs don't hang over the top of our box and look sloppy. And it allows the box to fold together better. So we just angle cut on each of those tabs. Okay, so now our box looks like our template here. All right, but now I need to put in my closure here. This is 2 1/4 inches. So I'd like to lay it on my grid paper somewhere, and then I just spread a 2-inch mark. It's easier if you go like here, 6 to 8. You've got 2 inches here. Oh, did I do something wrong? This should be 2 1/4. No, there, 6 to 8 1/4. Okay, phew. So I'm going to go an 1/8 of an inch over on each side. I'm just going to put a little mark here at 7. And then I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to do the same thing. So I've got 6 here, but I've got 5 7/8 here. And then I'm going to mark this at 7. And then here's the little trick here. It's probably hard to see on black. I'm going to cut to the left of that mark just a tiny bit, and to the right of that mark a tiny bit. And then I'm going to clip out that little piece so that I have just the slightest opening there that will fit 2 pieces of cardstock. And then I'm going to repeat that over here, slit a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and then cut out that little piece to make that locking mechanism. Okay? Now we're going to need some strong adhesive here. I'm going to go ahead and use liquid glue just because it's faster for me. So on the outside of my box, not the inside, the outside, I'm going to just put some glue on these tabs right here. And I'm going to do all 4 of them all at once. And remember, with liquid glue, a little goes a long way. Okay? And you want to get up close to that score line without going over, so that you have a nice tight box there. Okay. Then we're going to take, and I'm going to take this tab, and I'm going to fold it toward the large rectangle. And I'm going to do cut edge to folded edge. Hold that for just a second. Again, toward that rectangle. Cut edge to folded edge. Go down to the other end and repeat that for both sides. Cut edge to the folded edge, making sure that my edges line up nicely so that my box is really squared. Okay, so we've got all those. Give them a good press. It's pretty warm in my studio, so it's drying pretty fast. Then I'm just going to go in with my bone folder and burnish where those where the cardstocks come together. Okay. Now when I fold this in and I fold these down, just hold on to the side there. Come on, get in there. There we go. Now our box is together and it's going to stay down. Okay? And you can't see inside the box. All right. So let's decorate this box quickly. So how do we do it fast? I pre-stamped and die cut the Fright Night stamp, and it's this stamp right here. So I just took a piece of basic white and stamped it with Petunia Pop. Okay, so we did Petunia Pop, stamped it on my white, and then I used the coordinating die cut that comes with Fright Night. And you'll need the smaller of the two. Okay, so I cut that out. Then on a piece of Granny Apple Green, I pre-cut the word boo, and this is the die here. Just cuts that right out. And then I cut 2 pieces of the two-tone Petunia Pop cardstock, and I used the light side, and then I stamped them with the stamp from Fright Night. 1, Eat, Drink, and Be Scary, and 2, Happy Halloween. You could do whichever of these 3 you want. They all will fit on this banner. Okay, so we've got that. And then from the Spooky Sweet Designer Series paper, that's this one right here, there is a sheet of die cut ephemera. And so I've taken this little gal here, one of the cauldrons, and one of the goo. The goo. Now I do want you to notice when you punch these out, they punch out easily. But in addition to that, look at the difference between this one that I just punched out and this one here. I do not like how much white space is here. If you're okay with that, then that's fine. Then you could just add your goo and be happy. Okay? Your choice. I was not okay with how much border there was, so I trimmed all 3 of these pieces because I didn't like how much white border there was. But that is a personal preference, how much work you want to put into it and how quick you want to be. So here's our pieces here. All right. Now, let's go ahead and put some designer series paper on our box. This also comes from the Spooky Sweet, but maybe not so much where you might think. What I used was, I don't have a full sheet anymore. There was a sheet that had these, and then it had a row of these across. Okay, so I took these and I cut these apart so that I could get my pieces. All right, so they come straight out of here, and then the reverse, we're going to use this on the top, and it's just the reverse of this here. Okay, so a little tip, if you're going to do this to save yourself some paper, when I was doing these, I needed them to be 7/8 of an inch wide. So go ahead and cut it at 7/8, and that will leave you an extra piece here to use, an extra wide piece, okay? All right. So these pieces are an inch. Well, they should be an inch by 3 3/8. Apparently, I didn't cut them off right. Either that or my box is, nope, 3.5 inches. My box is the right size. What did I cut these at? 3 5/8. Oh my goodness, you guys, I do that all the time. So I want 3 3/8, not 3 5/8. So let's just trim that down. My box is 3.5. So I only need 3 3/8. Did I do the same thing on here? No, I did these right. Okay, just the darker ones are the ones I did wrong. Okay, so these ones go on the top here, and they're 1 inch by 3 3/8. So I'm just going to add these to the top of our box, just for a little contrast. And you could put this on beforehand, and I should have, but I was a little excited to show you my locking mechanism, and I got a little sidetracked. So there we are. We can still put it on this way. It is a little bit easier when it's flat, but it can still be done. Okay, is this going to be better if I do it this way? Yep. I'm going to turn that around. And I need to line it up better. Let me tip this. I'm trying to line my pattern. It looks more cohesive this way. So there we go. And then these two longer pieces are 7/8 of an inch by the same 3 3/8. And you could do them all with the same color. I just wanted a little bit more contrast. So I'm going to add that. This also shows off both sides of the designer series paper. Okay. And then our end pieces are 7/8 by 2 1/8. And of course we need 2 of those. So I'll put that on. We'll put this on. And there is our treat box so far. Okay, so what are we going to do with these? Well, I thought I would put these on the sides of my box. So I'm just going to take this, put a little bit of Stampin' Seal here, put this right here like this. I tried these banners in several colors. I tried basic gray, white, and this is the color. I tried regular petunia pop, but I really liked this two-tone lighter petunia pop, so I used the two-tone cardstock. Okay, so we've got that. Now, this is too big for our box, right? So we're going to fix that. This piece is about 4 inches long, and we need it to be about 3.5. So we're going to bring in our trimmer, and half of 3.5 is 1 5/8. No, 1 3.5. I need 1 3/4, right? 1 3/4 and 1 3/4. So if I put this at 1 3/4, and then I flip this over and put it at 1 3/4, then I should have a total of 3.5. Okay, and that's what we want. All right, so we're good. Just gonna cut it off. Now I'm gonna put it back together, and I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna take a piece of tear and tape. You could use Scotch tape or whatever you want. I happen to have tear and tape handy. So I'm just going to take a piece of this and line this up and then stick this down across that line, and now I have one piece. And you can see this, and that's fine. We're going to take a piece of basic gray cardstock, and we're going to take the 2-inch circle punch. I'm going to punch out a basic gray circle, and I'm going to put this right here. Okay, I'm going to put that right over the top. Right there across that line, and try to center it up a bit. You're not going to see much of this circle when I'm done, but you're definitely not going to see that line. Okay, so then we're going to take our pieces, and originally I used Stampin' Dimensionals, but then I thought they were a little bit too thick, so we're going to try this. I'm going to try doubling my glue dots. That's my favorite thing to do when I want a little bit of lift, but not too much. And I'm going to put this on here, just like so. And that should line up pretty much right with that cauldron. Right there, like so. Okay, so now we've got our cauldron here. And now we're going to take and pop this up. Okay, so let's take some Stampin' Dimensionals. Put it on our cauldron. I'm going to put our cauldron over here. We need to make sure that we don't impede the fold of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. And take a look at that. Should be fine there. Oops, I'm a little crooked. It went down before I wanted it to. Okay. just like that. Okay, so we've got that, and now we've got our little princess girl here. Oh, and before we get too far, every princess has to have glitter glue on her wand. And I think goo needs to be glittery. So we're gonna make our goo all flashy. Okay, still a little bit of Wink of Stella there. Take our little gal here. Now she is going to stand here, so we need to be careful. Can put a glue dot here at her wing, one down here at her feet, and then let's see, just gonna go like this, and let's go ahead and I'm gonna cut this. I already got it off, so I'm just gonna cut it in half. Put that on that wing. Maybe save that, and then we'll take off our backings. They're wanting to stick. And we'll slide this up just like so. And get those, there we go. Let's keep those dimensionals where they, there we go. So we've got that. Now we can take and add this to our box, but we only want to put adhesive on this portion, otherwise we glue our box shut. We don't want to do that, okay? So again, I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals. This is a three-dimensional project. So I can pop those up. I'm not gonna let me roll those off. I know what I'm thinking. That's not gonna work. It'll be uneven and that'll drive me crazy. So I'm just gonna use some Stampin' Seal. Stay to the left. And then I'll Stampin' Seal over the side there. And when I put this down, just center that up. Okay. And then this becomes a way to open it up. So I'm going to just give that a nice press to make sure I burnish down that side there. And then we can just put that back in its locking place. Okay, almost finished. Oh, wait a minute. Let's open this back up. Where are we going to put our boo? You guys, I thought it would be super cool to take the boo and put it on the inside so that when the recipient pulls out their treats, it says boo. So I'm just going to take this, lay it down in here at an angle, and there's the inside of our box. Okay, let's put a couple of fun-sized candy bars in there. Grab my old standard gift card, which really needs to be on the bottom, because otherwise your locking mechanism's not going to work right. So you're going to have to put your gift card on the bottom so as not to impede. Come on, get in there. Oh, that's up instead of down. Okay. Gotta get our little candy bar over there on the side. And then, wow, okay. Come on, jump in the hole. There we go. Wow, that wanted to fight me. Okay, so there we go. Locked up. The last things we need to do, we need to put on a bow, and I should have pre-tied that. I did pre-tie the other one. I'm going to use the Baker's Twine Essentials pack, and I'm using the black. Just going to tie myself a nice bow here. All right. I might have cut that too short. Oop. There we go. Put this on and put our embellishments on, and then our box will be complete. Let's get our bow, tweezers, glue dot, tweezers. I'm going to put this down here right by our little girl, our little princess. Put that right there. Let's bring in our gems. We've got the Shimmer Star Foam stickers. This is all part of that spooky Halloween suite. The Fright Night is not, but the paper and the embellishments are. And I find with these, it's just easier if you try to get under them. I'm going to put one of these right here. Then I'll take a black one and I'll put it up here. And then I'm going to take a white one. These are all large ones. I'll put that right there. Might move this black one. Hang on. See if we can get it up without losing our glue dot. There we go. That's what I want. Okay. And there is our locking gatefold gift card box. Okay. I hope you like that. All right, you guys, we have plenty of time to get the next card done. I did a lot of the work ahead of time so that we could rush through it if we needed to. So let's go ahead and hang that there for just a second. And here you have a piece left you could use as a trim on something else. Okay. Next project. I'm so glad you guys like that box. I had so much fun designing it. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to use this same image again from the Fright Night bundle, but we're going to do some different stuff with this. So let's get our, I wanted to show you that the Fright Night bundle is not just for Halloween. So we're going to combine the Fright Night bundle, excuse me, with the Mixed Floral bundles, or bundle. This is also an online exclusive. And then we're going to use a sentiment from Beautiful Motifs, The Thinking of You. And we're going to use a banner from More Messages. I highly encourage you during this free shipping day to put that More Messages bundle in your cart. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Okay, so our colors for this card, for ink pads, we're using Early Espresso and Calypso Coral. Our card base is Old Olive. This is a 5.5 by 8.5. I pre-scored it in the middle at 4 1/4, and that is now ready. I took a piece of the woven textures. This is also an online exclusive. All woven texture fabrics. And we're going to use the linen side, and that's going to go right here. And we don't need to do anything to that, so let's go ahead and put that down. This piece is 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to add this to our card front. Okay. So we've got that. Then we're going to take a piece of basic beige. Okay, got basic beige here. Thought I had 2 pieces, but apparently I don't. Okay, so we're going to take this, and we're going to take our stamp positioner tool. Okay, I'm going to put this in here. And this piece is going to have to go down. This piece is a little bit too big for what I need, so hang on. I need it to be about 5 1/2, and I can make it work. Okay, so we've got 5 1/2. That'll just fit in my thing here. So I'm going to put this in here like this. I need to get 2 of these on this piece of paper. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. Okay, I've got that in there. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to take some, oh, actually I didn't stamp off this fine here. Okay, we're going to put this in here like this. And I'm going to ink this up. All right. And then we're going to flip this around, clean this off. I'm going to take some early espresso, ink this up. Stamp that down. Okay, I'm going to pull this out, set that aside. Then from the Mixed Florals, I've taken the 3 ladybug images and I put them on one block so that I can just stamp them in the middle here. All 3 at once. You only need 3 for this project, but you could easily stamp 3 more if you wanted. Okay, so we've got those. So we've got those pieces. Now, you need to take one more piece of basic beige, and with that one, what you're going to do is you're going to cut out the largest of the dies with basic beige, okay? And then you're going to take and put that piece and the remaining outline into your stamp positioning tool like this. And then, hang on, then we're going to, so you've got this piece of basic beige, you just put it in here I've already got my stamp lined up. Ink this up in early espresso and then stamp it down. Okay? And then remove your piece and color it up. Okay? So here's what we have. We've got this piece now. All right? So to color this, these are the Stampin' Blends that I used right here. So for my coneflower, I started with the dark darling duckling at the top. Then I went down slightly I overlapped and went down slightly further with the light darling duckling. And then I finished it up with the light daffodil delight, blending it all together. Okay. I used the light and dark old olive on my leaves. And light and dark calypso coral on the little flowers. And then for the coneflower part, I used the deep SU 200 for all over and the deep SU 100 for just a little bit of shadowing in here, and then I stippled around those edges to bring those dots a little more prominent. Okay, so we've got that ready to go now. All right, so let's go ahead. Now you would take these and cut these with the matching dies. And for these images out of the Fright Night, you need this smaller stamp. And I'm going to tell you guys right up front, I had a heck of a time lining that up. Can you still hear me? Can you guys still hear me? Abby, my AirPods switched over to Abby's stuff. So, give me a thumbs up if you can still hear. Okay, good. Thank you. Grandkids. Why she's walking back and forth around here, I don't know. As I was saying, I found this a little bit difficult to line up. So take a cut piece. I thought I had a white one here to show you, but apparently I don't. So let's pull this one out of here. Take one of these, like this, that you've already pre-cut. This is the bigger one, so it's not going to work. But where did I put that one, man? I cut it up and threw it away. That's what I did. I was trying to be too efficient. Okay, so take the smaller one, cut it out, then line it up, and then put your die in, and then you'll know what you have. Okay. I just found it a whole lot easier, and I wish I had not cut up that piece of cardstock earlier that I was using, so I could really show you how that works. Okay, let me get rid of that. It's in the way. All right, so when you get that stuff all cut, you've got these pieces. I cut my ladybugs out, and then I colored them. And so here we've got our little ladybugs. I colored one ladybug with the light darling duckling, one with light calypso coral, and one with light old olive. If you use the dark old olive, it just gets to be too dark, so... and then you can't see it on the project. So I went with the light here. So we've got those three, and of course I put Wink of Stella on their wings. So now we have all these pieces. Let's go ahead and bring back in our card. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this up here. So let's go ahead. Do that. And then we're going to take the Calypso Coral. I'm going to put that one down here. And then I'm going to take this one and some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I used a lot because I wanted it to all sit nice and pretty. And that does not want to come off my finger. Okay. So let's get that. Stick my thumbnail in the center. If you ever have trouble, just stick something sharp in the center. And that'll lift up those tops. And then we'll take this and center it about right there. Okay. All right, so now let's get some mini dimensionals and flip over two of our ladybugs. I don't know what I did with my card now. Good grief. What a mess already. Okay, yeah, I was thinking what I was thinking is correct. So I'm just going to put a little tiny dimensional on these two. And let's remove those backings. And this one's going to go over here like so. We'll put Calypso Coral up here. Kind of like it looks like she's curling on that across that line there. And finally, we're going to take a piece of linen thread. I've already tied the bow. And I'm going to put this down here in the corner there so that it's not on top of the tag, this tag. I want to have it on the lower level, okay? And then I'm going to take and put my ladybug on two glue dots. And I'm going to put her right in the center of that bow. And then I'm going to lift those wings just a touch, like so. And there is the front of our card. Okay? So we've used those Fright Night stamps and dies without making a Halloween card. And for the center of that, I took a piece of basic beige. I stamped off with that same stamp, and then I stamped it in the center. This is the opposite side of this linen piece, and I just took a 1/2 inch strip off of that 4 by 12 inch piece. I had 1.5 inches left after making 2 cards, so I just added that to the bottom. And this is going to go inside. And I just thought that would be a nice place to stamp or write my message. But because this is going to be I forgot to put my sentiment on. Thinking of you card. Hang on, let's get that. That's what I missed. Okay, so from the More Messages dies, I cut a whole piece of this, and I'm using this die, this one right here, this label right here. Okay. And we're going to take Thinking of You and the Early Espresso ink. Okay. And I'm going to lay this down on my silicone mat here. Take the Early Espresso. Thinking of You comes from Beautiful Motifs. That's in the annual catalog. It's part of the Gallery Blooms suite. And I'm just going to stamp that down. Let that sit. No pressure. I don't want to distort my letters. Okay, so I've got that. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take the other half of that that other dimensional that I had cut. I'm going to put it on the left-hand side here. Remove that backing. If it will leave. I think I need to clean the tips of my scissors here. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal at this end. Bring back in that card front. And we're going to put Thinking of You right here. Okay, so I've got the Stampin' Dimensional over here to make up for the Stampin' Dimensional distance here, and then I just glued it to the top of that. Okay, so that is our finished card. Using the Fright Night bundle. That's not Halloween. Okay, and for the envelope, I stamped off so I could write on that. That's my little address label. And then happiness inside comes from Sharing, Loving, and Crafting. That's an online exclusive. And there you have it. Those are our 2 projects for tonight. Here's our box. And let's open up this one so you can see that. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that tonight. Just so you know, I will not, I repeat, not be live on Thursday night. I have a class reunion here at my home over the weekend, and I need time to get ready for that. So, no Thursday night live on YouTube. I will see you again next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Thank you, everybody, and don't forget free shipping. Thank you in advance for your orders. I appreciate that. See you soon. Good night.